Alright, so today we're going to be working on Ignitron and we're going to be setting up a base file, right? And for today's purpose, we'll be using a AMB out of a B6 A4 1.8T. So basic settings, you select the head code. Some of these are for 1.8T and the other ones are for 3.2 VR6s. So majority of the case with using Ignitron, you're not going to be using a mass sensor with version 1.28. So you select no, and then where's the map sensor? It's recommended to relocate the map sensor to the intake manifold to run true speed density. But there is an option to run alpha N if you're using a stock car and you're just trying to get it started up to move it to a shop or something like that. There's different ways to go about it. But for this purpose, we're going to be using the intake manifold in speed density. So map sensor part number, you can select any of these that are applicable to your situation, and you can also customize it later on. But for now, we're just going to do 400 kPa. Size of the injectors, we're going to be using the Bosch 980 cc's. And we're also going to be changing these a little bit for a different one. And running them at 3 bar, I like to set them at 885. So the primary fuel that we're going to be using is high octane and then turbocharged engine. And NOx sensors we're just going to keep as sensitive for now, just because this isn't a built engine that we're doing. This is just a stock application. So VVT, if available, we're going to check no for now. Turbocharger is disabled, and you'll see why in a few minutes. And then we scroll down, it's going to be a 6-speed manual, throttle response, comfortable street, and stock camshafts. So you're going to create a new base file here. And then you're going to type in who's the tuner. The vehicle is going to be a B6 A4, right, 2003 for now. And then the owner, we'll just say test dummy, right? So not much on this screen that you can really adjust. So we're just going to keep this here for now. Then we're going to scroll down some, right? And we're going to set up some things. So in manifold absolute pressure, if you're using a non-Bosch style sensor, you can open this up, right? And non-Bosch sensors are, right, if it's a 4 bar from like Haltech or Low Dollar Motorsports or various other companies, use their scaling appropriately. And the scaling that we're going to use for this case is 0.5 to 4.5, and then you're going to highlight the whole bottom row, right click, hit horizontal implementation. Same thing at the top. You're just going to do interpolate, and now it's smooth. And then minimum voltage 0.5, maximum 4.500. But this is just how to change the map. But we're going to go up here, jump it back, and we're going to go to inputs. Because we're going to be changing some things around, we're going to be Alright, so coming back, we're going to enable pin 61, and we're going to be doing fuel ethanol content on pin 61, and then down here, digital pulse width, we're going to be doing fuel temperature, and we're going to hit the little invert button here. So coming down, fuel temperature, we're going to right click. I have this, and I can share this with other people, but we're going to go to this, and I'm just going to type this in for fuel temp, right? And then down here, minimum is going to be 1, maximum is going to be 5, and then coefficient is going to be 0.1. Now, if you hit F1 in the software, it'll tell you some sensor calibration stuff, right? And how to use it. So for these sensors right here, right? So examples for filters, right? 0 is infinitely stronger, doesn't let any signal through. 0.1 is usually the best to use for external sensors that you want to map in. So that's the biggest thing there, right? So moving back to this, right? So this is good to go. Now we're gonna go to ethanol content, right? And I just remember this off the top of my head. So that's 0, and this is gonna be 100. And then interpolate that, and then this is gonna be 150, and this is gonna be 50. And then we're gonna horizontal interpolate, filter 0.1, validation, minimum hertz is 50, maximum is 150. Okay, so now we're gonna go here, we're gonna do save as, and I'm just gonna save this in this folder as, let's go to, yeah, we'll just sit it right here and AMB test. And I'm just going to save this for now. Next thing is we're going to set up the flex fuel, because right now, right, see how this is all grayed out? So this is B100. We're in the States, so I'm going to switch this to 93 octane, right? And this is where you can edit it, is basic settings, fuel, right here. So now we're going to go to File, Fuel Blending Configurator, and we're just going to hit Enabled on everything here for now, right? So we're just going to hit Close on this, and now that we have this as 93, we're going to go to here, and we're going to go to Fuel Blending, Fuel Presets Manager, and we're just going to copy 1 to 2. Okay, so now 1 and 2 are the same. VE, everything's identical here. Now, we're going to switch this to E85 in a moment, but you have to make sure of a few things. In priming, sometimes stuff doesn't translate, so you have to go through every single thing and make sure that some of the settings transferred. Especially right here. This is what will prevent a write, is because this whole entire map is zeroed out when you go to E85. Sometimes, depending how you have the map set up. So we'll go back to Fuel 1. We're going to go back to Base File, Wizard, and we're just going to deselect everything here on the left-hand side. Right? Now, we're going to be changing to E85. So we're going to do high octane. From high octane, we're going to do to ethanol. And then we're going to apply changes to current file. Now we're on E85. We still have a VE, right? That's good. And advance. Timing. See the timing table differences? So we're going to move fuel 1 to fuel 2. So we're going to go to Presets Manager, and we're just going to swap these two, right? Done. So 93 and E85 are 2 separate maps. Now, depending on the ethanol content that you can get, you know, say you're in the winter time and the best mix that you can get is E60, you can change this to E60 and then change this right here. But I know what E70 is off the top of my head, and it's about 10.700 to 1, just about. It's not accurate right now. I don't have the table pulled up at the moment, but that's where you would add that in, and that just changed your Stoich AFR. So when you're trying to idle the car, sometimes it will, if this is set up entirely too low, you know, and you have not the best ethanol content, your lambda adaptations and your trims are just going to go all out of whack, and your VE table is going to be very drastic. So moving along, now that we have the blending set up, right, we're going to do some special CAN bus stuff that's for the B6. So I'm going to pause it real quick so I can pull it up in a moment. But in CAN setup right here, you can add send and receive messages as well, and OED2 support. And we're going to disable torque control, and not doing that. And we're going to go to steering wheel, and I'm going to pause it right here for a moment. Okay, so moving back, so we're going to change some things in the map switches to CAN bits, because the cruise control stalk in the B6 is actually CAN bus. So we can switch some stuff around and make it usable elsewhere. So for this case, we're going to make this race mode, right? So I find it, race mode enable, that's going to be set. And then this is, I'm going to switch to aux 1. But for this case, we'll keep it as aux 1, and these two are the same. So we're going to deselect this, we're going to make this 0, 0. Set is going to be 0, 8. Aux 1 is going to be 0, 9. And this is going to be 3, and this is going to be 2. So I don't have it hooked up to a car right now, but if you were to move the cruise control stalk around on the B6, because it is a CAN bus vehicle, you can turn race mode on, and when you hit the reset button, right, you can do rolling anti-lag, right? So if you hold it, right, it'll go, you can set up rolling anti-lag here, right here, and you can set this to aux 1, and then when you press it, after everything is met, then you'll have rolling anti-lag as well as race mode. So, but if you guys want any other explanations on Ignitron, just let me know down in the comments, and I'll try my best to get back to you guys. I also have another video that will probably be coming out in a couple days, which will explain how to set up a water meth progressive control. Once that's done, it'll explain more in depth how to set it up with an AEM V3 controller, as well as a independent control. So if you just have a solid state relay and a pump, and then you have a solenoid for spray, you can do progressive spray on Ignitron, which I had set up in another file. But that's all for today.